The Cursed Fortune of the Shadow CEO. Hello, brave souls listening to us in the darkness. Welcome. The story I'm about to tell you today isn't about monsters under the bed. It's about the monsters we buy, invite into our perfect lives, and that never leave. Have you ever desired success so much you'd pay any price? What if the universe heard you and demanded payment in a currency you didn't know you had? Your own sanity. Think about it. What happens when the object that brings you all the world's wealth is the same one that steals your soul piece by piece? This isn't a fictional tale. It's inspired by whispers, by Asian urban legends of fortunes born from dark pacts and cursed objects yearning for a new owner. What you're about to hear is the journey of a man who reached the top, only to find the top was the edge of an abyss. Before we unveil the first TikTok of this nightmare, if you have the courage to peer into the darkness with us, subscribe now and ring the notification bell, because what this CEO found might be waiting at this very moment in an antique shop near you. Kenji Tanaka wasn't just a CEO. He was a prodigy, a titan in Tokyo's competitive financial market, Japan. At 32, he lived in a minimalist penthouse in Shinjuku, a glass and steel sanctuary overlooking an ocean of lights. His life was a masterpiece of perfection. Tailored suits, luxury watches, and a reputation for turning everything he touched into gold. But behind his cold, calculating eyes lay a void. Loneliness was his only companion, and ambition, his only faith. He collected antiques, not out of love for history, but as symbols of power, of things time couldn't destroy. And it was during a trip to Kyoto, in a forgotten antique shop on a narrow Gion street, that he found it. A Victorian pocket watch, made of blackened silver and ebony. It wasn't the priciest in his collection, but something called to him. The chain was cold to the touch, and the glass, strangely, never fogged. The shop owner, an old man with wrinkled eyes, hesitated to sell it. This object, he whispered, belonged to a man who gained the world, but lost himself. It demands an owner of great ambition. To Kenji, that sounded like a compliment. He paid and took the watch. That night, in his apartment, he wound it for the first time. The sound wasn't a normal tick-tock. It was organic, deep, almost like the beat of a dry, ancient heart. Then the phone rang. A hostile takeover bid he'd coveted for months, deemed impossible by all, had been accepted. Out of nowhere, it was the start of an unbelievable streak of luck. Stocks he bought tripled in value. Competitors mysteriously went bankrupt. In weeks, he became the most powerful man in his field. And the watch always stayed with him in his suit pocket. But luck came at a cost. He began noticing strange things. The watch, even when stowed, seemed to echo through the house. He heard its heart pulsing from the walls, the floor, his own mind. He started seeing figures in his peripheral vision. Shadows moving with supernatural speed, vanishing when he turned. And the scariest part, his reflections. Sometimes, passing a mirror or his office's dark window, he saw his own face, but for a split second, it was older, more tired, with deep bags and a hungry smile. His wealth grew, but Kenji's life withered. He couldn't sleep anymore. Paranoia set in. He felt he wasn't alone in his luxurious penthouse. He sensed the watch wasn't just an object, but a parasite. A being feeding on his ambition, granting success, but consuming his vitality, his peace, his soul. A fortune growing with each tick-tock. A sanity fading with each chime. He was trapped in a pact he didn't know he'd made. Would you sell your peace for glory? If that answer scares you, leave a like and stay subscribed, because the true nature of the curse is about to be revealed. The real panic began on a rainy night. Kenji was in his office, reviewing charts, when he heard a clear whisper in his ear. The voice was his own, but distorted, icy. More. We want more. He turned, terrified. No one was there, but his shadow, cast on the wall by the lamp, moved. It stood up, even though he was seated, and pointed a long, dark finger at him before dissolving into darkness. He screamed, ran through the apartment, turning on all the lights, but the shadows seemed to dance, mocking him. The watch's beat in his pocket now synced with his terrified heart. He pulled it out to smash it against the wall, but looking at it, panic turned to pure horror. The hands weren't moving. In their place was a single red pulse in the center, and he felt, with a bone-chilling certainty, that it was an eye that saw him, that knew him. Desperate, he drove to Rainbow Bridge in Tokyo. With all his strength, he threw the watch into the dark bay waters. He felt immediate relief, as if a weight lifted from his spirit. He returned home, exhausted, and for the first time in months, slept. But when he woke the next morning, he felt the familiar cold in his pajama pocket. His heart pounded as he reached in. There it was, the watch, dry, intact, and the tick-tock sounded like a low, satisfied laugh. Now he understood. The curse wasn't in the object. The object was just the gate. The curse was in him. He was the new owner, the new host. He rushed to the bathroom, pale with terror, and looked in the mirror. What he saw made him release a silent scream. In the reflection, he was there, but it wasn't him. It was a skeletal, ancient man with hollow orbits and a rotten-toothed grin, wearing his clothes, looking at him with his own face. And in the reflection suit pocket, the silver watch chain swayed gently, back and forth, like a pendulum marking a time that was no longer his. He wasn't the watch's owner. The watch owned him. Are you still there? Kenji's story has no end, because the curse never ends. It just changes owners. What do you think happened to him? Did he become the next ghost tied to the object? Share your theory in the comments. If this story gave you chills, leave a like so the algorithm knows you're brave, and share it with a friend who loves horror tales. If you've experienced something inexplicable, felt a presence where no one should be, tell us your story. The best might become a video. Subscribe now for more tales from Asia's dark side. And if you can, consider a donation to support our work bringing these nightmares to life. The link is in the description. Thank you for listening, and good luck with your next reflection.